don't know about you guys, but I had to take a minute after the games were done today and just absorb, think about, internalize, and come to terms with what we just saw play out at ESL Pro League Season 19. Our other quarterfinal matches have wrapped up. We had Astralis versus Team Liquid, and a highlight marquee matchup between Vitality and Faze, wherein we watched Zywoo come through with some of the best form we have seen ever at any CS2 tournament. Elsewhere, Astralis continue to outperform expectations as Device continues to show unbelievable form while taking on the in-game leadership role. This team has really come together despite my expectations for them to fall flat, and they absolutely ran over Team Liquid. Both of these games felt like dominant statement games from their respective teams, as we see the lay of the land really starting to expand in the top 10 in CS2, as beforehand, it definitely was the Faze show with everyone else being very far behind, whereas now we're really starting to see some parity in the top 10 and a lot of competition come to the surface. So if you miss out on the action today, you're in the right place. We're going to be going over both matches in depth, so sit down, sit back, kick back, get ready, and before we get started, make sure you take a second and leave a like and a comment down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It helps out immensely in the YouTube algorithm. Many of you watching these videos are not subscribed, so make sure you do it. Also, while you're down there, consider becoming a channel member for $5 a month. You can support me directly. And lastly, check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/LionHeartZ1337. We'll be streaming tonight Counter-Strike. We've also been doing some variety Dark Souls content with the new indie game Another Crab's Treasure, so come check me out. And other than that, let's get started with the recap. And in our first matchup of the day, we saw Astralis take on Team Liquid. Astralis currently riding a high, going undefeated through the group stage, while Team Liquid struggled and ended up losing to Mouse in the group stage finals. Both of these teams have looked pretty strong in this tournament. However, it's pretty clear that Astralis have been a leg ahead of most of the competition so far, and that's despite the projections that this team was not going to do so well. Device is a first-time in-game leader. He's of course one of the best players to ever play Counter-Strike, but making that transition to being the guy who manages the team and is also the opper, and is also expected to still output at a star player level, seemed too daunting of a task. But so far this is the second event they've played together, and both times the teams have looked really good. If anything, what this Astralis team currently reminds me of is actually it harkening back to an earlier day in Device's career when Kerrigan was still his in-game leader. This is a looser Astralis, a more flexible Astralis that is trying to beat you by being better in the 1v1s, being better at the duels, and the multi-kills, and the clutches. This is not the Astralis that suffocates you with utility, grinds you down to a halt till you can't take bomb sites or you can't defend them depending on which side you're on. That Astralis no longer exists. This is a new look Astralis, and Device, Stown, and Yabby are leading the way. They're fragging effectively, and Device seems to have not only taken a step forward in his individual game compared to his previous form this year, but he's maintaining that form deep into playoff runs. To put into perspective about how good Device has been this late in his career, and keep in mind he's been playing for a very long time, right now the tournament ended, this would be in his top 30 tournament performances ever, with a 1.34 rating. That's crazy. Astralis are undefeated so far in the tournament. They're the second highest rated team in the tournament behind Vitality, and they're showing no signs of slowing down. So let's get into the breakdown of how this game went map to map. We opened things up on Inferno, and honestly, the opening half for Team Liquid, pretty good. On the T side of Inferno, they take 7 of 12 rounds, they get the pistol round +3, they look pretty good, they keep Astralis from establishing an economy and being able to run over the map control too much, and leading the way was Nafly, 12 frags on the opening half, taking space, taking names, keeping the control in Liquid's favor, and honestly, things are looking pretty good. The only thing I gotta point out is despite Nav having a great first half, once again, kind of the narrative for Team Liquid is that someone out of Yakindar or Skulls seems to underperform when things matter most. Yakindar here, 6 kills for the entire map, pretty much does nothing on the opening half, and one of the continuing problems that Liquid are going to have, I think, is they aren't going to have enough firepower with Twist as the primary star player and Kading as the Opera IGL. Nafly is going to have good maps from time to time, but he's basically the North American Rain. He's not going to carry every time. He's really best suited as a 3rd star role player and one of the most elite role players you will ever have. And so that job needs to fall to Skulls and Yakindar. And they're just very inconsistent players. I like what both they can do, but they are just a little bit too inconsistent, I think, for what Liquid want to achieve. And once Astralis got control of this game, they took the last 2 of the first half, they go to their T side, they take the pistol +3, they are in control of this game from start to finish on the T side, they never allow Liquid time to establish economic control. Meanwhile, Stown and Yabby have a pop-off map, absolutely doing whatever the hell they want anywhere. They both end with 19 kills, your device not far behind with 16, and I just ended up feeling like Astralis were overwhelming everywhere they went, and Liquid just didn't have much recourse. But luckily, there's a lot of Counter-Strike left to be played if you're Team Liquid. We move over to Overpass, they open up on the CT side, and frankly, they do really well here. They drop the pistol, but they win the second round Force Buy, which is huge for their momentum, as they're able to run off 6 straight rounds off the back of that, while Astralis try to establish their economy and get some map control going. However, the back half of this half and the rest of the game was the Astralis show. Specifically, Device and Stayer were on fire through the end of their T half and into the CT half. They close with 3 straight rounds to end their T side, they win the pistol on CT, and they proceed to go on an 11-0 run in total, all the way to victory. And again, just how important the economy is to the CT side. If you go on HLTV, they have an economy tool. You can look at what the buys look like round to round. And when you look at the second half of this game for Astralis compared to Liquid, it really tells a stark tale. Outside of the pistol round, Astralis were full bot on every single round they played on CT side. Whereas for Team Liquid, they had to go pistol round, force buy, save, full buy, save, and then they got 3 concluding full buy rounds to end the game. The difference in equipment value is stark. At no point were they threatening to break Astralis' economy. They weren't even able to really keep some of these rounds close enough for that to be a factor. And that is the difference. If you can keep the op in the hands of Device, if you can keep all the nades on hand, you can control Overpass to the point that the T's have no recourse. You add on to that great, timely multi-killing by Stayer, Stown, and Yabby. Device just being insane, his shot looking crisper than ever, and it's no wonder Liquid weren't able to do anything. Liquid, they just couldn't get over the line, despite good performances from Twist and Cadian. And Cadian wasn't even really getting that beat in the op matchup. He kept up with Device pretty well, but Device was farming everyone else in the server. Once again, Skulls, Yakindar failing to go positive, having really well below sub 1 ratings. Astralis advanced to the semifinals and Liquid are going home, and it's really starting to be a question of whether Liquid need to look at a roster change. I know it has not been that long since this roster has been formed, but I think it's pretty clear that they are lacking something. They are missing that next piece to really fully form them into a top 10 team. And as I said earlier, I think it's the fragging. I think they need a second star next to Twist. Who that could be, I really have no idea, because the trade market is an absolute mess. But Skulls and Yakindar, they're just too inconsistent. It's not enough. The core of Cadian, Naf, and Twist is good enough to do things, to win championships, but the supporting pieces just aren't there yet. And for our last quarterfinal, we had an anticipated rematch between Vitality and Faze Clan. And, you know, I could sit here and analyze the game, go into the strats, kind of tell you what went right and went wrong for Faze, but the game starts and the game ends with one man, and that man is Zywoo. Zywoo ends this series with 54 kills, 21 deaths, a plus-minus of 33, 142 ADR, a kill assist and traded of 94.9%, and a 2.21 rating. Zywoo, across 8 maps in this tournament, has a 1.84 rating. Zywoo is on pace to break the CS record for rating at an event. Keep in mind, Donk recently set the new standard with a 1.70 back at Katowice. Zywoo is 0.14 rating ahead of Donk right now. He is making Donk numbers look trivial. This is one of the best individual tournaments by any player ever. And if Zywoo can keep this up through 2 more series, win the tournament for Vitality, this would be an insane, historic, legendary performance. In the background right now are just his highlights that ESL showed after the series. This is all Zywoo. He just single-handedly made Faze look silly. He was everywhere. He was inevitable. He had all the Infinity Stones, the Chaos Emeralds, the Dragon Balls, Yin and Yang release, as well as access to the Ten Tails Chakra. This man was that overpowered. His spiritual pressure was putting motherfuckers in the floor. I mean, rightfully so. We had question marks about Vitality going into the playoffs because their group stage, they beat up on a bunch of bums. They put LeBron James back in the 60s, and he played against a bunch of plumbers, and that's what Zywoo did to the group stage. The level of competition he played to start this tournament simply had no business being in the same server as Zywoo, and he made them feel it by just running them the fuck over. So when we get here to the quarterfinals, you're playing Faze, who right now we're poised to start an era. They've made every single finals in CS2. They are by far the best team in the world, and Zywoo comes out and single-handedly slaps them down with his 10-foot baguette. I mean, it's really kind of pointless to get into the specific maps, but we'll do it. 13-3 on Nuke. Faze were never in this game. Vitality simply never gave them a chance to be. Zywoo, 24 kills, 6 deaths, dominant, absurd, unreal. Faze looked anemic. They couldn't take any map control on the T side, and by the time they got to CT, it was too late. So okay, whatever. You concede Nuke. We move on. We play Vertigo. Admittedly, Vertigo a little bit closer. 13-10, right? Not bad. And listen, Faze, they looked better. They totally controlled the T side. They were able to run over Vitality's CT defense like it was barely there. And so they dominate the opening half. They take an 8-4 lead into the second. You think, okay, Robs has woken up. He's taking over. We're going to go to a third map. We're going to make Vitality sweat a little bit. And then Vitality get to the T side and just go Super Saiyan. Zywoo ends with 30 kills, 15 deaths. Mezzy goes off for 22 kills himself. And they just take every single T-side round except for 2. Faze have no chance. They're not able to win the clutches. They all keep going Vitality's way. Zywoo is taking kills that he shouldn't be able to get. He gets dinked low by one player and he takes 2 more with him before he dies. He was just untouchable. And to add insult to injury, not only do Faze concede a huge lead on their CT half, they started making some really simple mistakes in the clutch. Look no further than the very last round, where in a 1v3, they pretty much give Flames only 1v1s. And credit to Flames, he hits 3 great shots to end the game, but the peaks by Faze were just uncoordinated. It was a team trying to force their way through, and for a minute it looked like they might be able to, but the mistakes kept piling up. It was a Faze out of sorts, it was a Faze that looked tired, it was a Faze that looked beaten after that first map. And that's what we saw play out. So Vitality advance, they're looking insane. For me, they are the best team in the tournament right now. And the only team left that I think can actually put a stop or slow down this Vitality if Zywoo keeps playing to this form is Mouse. I think Mouse's fundamentals will be the only thing to hold this team back. But even then, I don't think anything's stopping them. I think we're looking at Vitality rolling over this tournament on their way to victory from here on out. All right, that's everything for today. We are wrapping things up with ESL Pro League. Tomorrow we got the semi-finals, Mouse and Complexity, Astralis and Vitality. Who will win? Who will survive? Well, you know where you can find that information. It'll be right the fuck here. Some amount of time after the games have ended, depending on how lazy I feel. But anyways, the recaps will be there. Let me know how your brackets are going in the comments down below. Are you guys surprised to see Zywoo so dominant against Faze? I was. Other than that, thank you to my channel members, Furley, Justin, and Jesse for keeping the lights on. I appreciate you guys immensely. I'll see you guys soon with another video. Peace.